fun chatting with the Santa clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into life where the real facts flow. Step into
Hello. How's everybody doing today? We already got a chat. Hey, Sugar. I don't know if I do. Oh, have TDS. The answering the question. Today's title. How do you know if you have TDS? We'll get into that in a second. TDS is a malady afflicting apparently somewhere around 81 million Americans. And we'll get into that in a minute. But let's talk about a couple of other things first. One thing is this another, ICE murder in Houston. What was the his name is Lorenzo Salgado Aruja, I think, or Arujo. I'm sorry. I know I am not pronouncing his name right. I'm sorry I'm not doing it justice. But didn't have time to learn fluent Spanish while I was looking up his name. So anyway, I should learn some Spanish. I've been living in Texas for a while. Anyway, the important thing is that he's dead, and he shouldn't be. And one of the, as I've been, like following up on this, now they're saying, and I think this is actually a really significant thing to consider, is they're saying he was not the target of the investigation. They just pulled over the wrong dude, and they shot him, and they killed him. All right. Now, it turns out he was an undocumented immigrant. But they didn't know that when they were shooting him. He could have been an American citizen. It could have been another American citizen that just got murdered by ICE on the streets of America. So there's like layers to this, right? Like there's first, should it matter whether he's an American citizen or not? Like, is it okay to just go around murdering people because they're undocumented immigrants? Does that somehow justify it? Is it any less immoral to kill an undocumented immigrant than a citizen? Because especially if you're going to call yourselves the Christian right, then the whole thou shalt not kill thing doesn't have an exception. There's no footnote to that, right? Like you don't go, oh, thou shalt not kill unless they're an undocumented migrant that committed a misdemeanor. So we can get your thoughts on that. That one chicken has TDS. I think that's the yes. Hello, that one chicken. I got a joke for you. Why did the chicken walk down the middle of the road? To get to the other end. All right, maybe that one wasn't very funny. All right, how about this one? Why did the turkey walk down the middle of the road? To prove he wasn't a chicken. I feel like I've got to get some puns in. Like I can't call myself the pun show and never have actual puns. So there's a pun for the day. Fortunately, the chicken and the turkey, neither one was killed by ICE agents for their road activities. Face palm crying. What that was for my chicken jokes. The I just get when because I'm on Restream and not um YouTube, when I'm podcasting, I get like these descriptions of the emojis rather than the emojis themselves. So like face blue, wide eyes. That turkey, that's a Kelly original. By the way, I should mention this. I am creating a store. It's still very early on, but I can show you this real quick. If you want to buy a shirt, I'll just if you like puns, here can I like this is what I like about puns. Like a lot of jokes, a lot of humor is about being mean. You know, it's like Donald Trump's humor. People like, oh, it's just a joke, but his humor is denigrating people. Why I like puns is a good, well delivered pun is something that it gets your brain thinking one way and then it makes a turn, right? And it's like it zags when you thought it was going to zig. And actually, a lot of good jokes are done that way, and they don't need to be offensive to somebody in order to do that. Like Donald Trump's zags are, I can't believe he would actually say that out loud. Like, you know, but and then people that think the same way find that humorous, and that's why a lot of people that don't think the same way don't find it humorous, and they just find it offensive. And then you get the MAGAs that are like actually act like it being offensive, it makes it better. But anyway, back to puns. The thing about puns is they get you thinking zig and then it zags. And the zag actually, like, it takes a second to get to. Like, it takes you a second to figure out what happened. But it's you know, like a bad pun where it's too obvious, it doesn't make you think. And so then it's just dumb. And if it's too complicated, you never get there. And then it's just over people's head and it's ineffective. But a good pun makes you think for a second and then laugh, right? And when you get the zag, you actually kind of feel good about yourself. You're like, hey, I figured that out. You're kind of pleased with yourself for figuring it out. And so that's what I like about puns. Puns are a form of humor that actually makes you feel better about yourself. So that's why I like puns. Want to show you something I'm working on. This is still very early on in the stages, and I've got some designs that are, you can go and buy one of these if you want. The idea is it's got a punchline, or it's got the setup on one end and the punchline on the back. So like, what do you call the adult son of two redheads? A gingerbread man. So, you know, here's one. What did the cat say when he stubbed his toe? Meow. Anyway, the idea there, this is the turkey one. We got the turkey one on there. And you got like, which presidential couple did the most laundry? The Washingtons. Why did the duck-billed platypus cross the road? To pay the duck. So anyway, the idea is you wear the shirt and people read one side of it and then they're like, hang on, what is that? And then they want to read the other side of it. And you know, it's like if you're an introvert or whatever, it's a great way to start conversations and all of that kind of stuff. But anyway, if you want to buy those, I'm going to put up about 25, 30 more designs. But if you want to get one, they're available in all kinds of sizes and colors. But yeah, I should have had it done before Father's Day. What I find funny is that dad jokes are funny because they aren't funny. No, I mean, like, funny is, I think a lot about funny. Like, what does that mean? Like, what makes a joke funny? And it's that little split second of that delay, that zag when you thought it was going to zig, and your brain's surprise that's what kind of makes something funny. That's my opinion anyway. You're welcome to disagree with it. It's not two of you are lying to scam me out of my money. It's not two you are lying. What am I? I'm sorry, I don't understand what I'm lying about or how I'm trying to scam you out of your money. The store is through Shopify. I'm not scamming anybody. I don't know why you think I'm scamming anybody. Okay, I'm gonna lie. That's a pretty good marketing tactic to let more people see your shirt. I think that would be. I wasn't planning on doing that. I actually none of the jokes are going to be political because I want to keep the pun side separate from the political side on that because I think that some people might be inclined to buy the shirt if they don't know that I'm a lib with TDS. Hi, Jesus. Byron thinks he's Jesus. So yesterday I felt like I had like this pretty sincere moment where I kind of like I've been doing this for 2 years now and I felt like I've been more and more figuring out where I want to go with this show and what I want to do. And like I think sometimes people that agree with me get annoyed that I give too much room to MAGA's comments. And that's because I think that everybody has a legitimate perspective and deserves to be listened to. And I think if we can learn to listen to MAGAs, we might be able to understand where they're coming from. And together we might be able to find where we're going. I've used this analogy before where, like, let's say you're driving, you have a couple of friends that ask you to drive to the mall and they both get in the car and then you say, okay, how do I get there? And one starts giving you directions to one mall and one starts giving you directions to the other mall. And both are giving you accurate directions, but they don't agree on where we're going. And so you can't get anywhere, right? Until they figure out where they're going. And I feel like this is our political situation right now. With every single thing you've got, you know, one side wants to go to one place and one side wants to go to another place. And it's not until we can agree on our common destination that we're going to be able to get anywhere at all. So like with the voter thing, right? Like I think we should just be able to come up with a way that makes sure that only American citizens vote, but also every American citizen can vote. Like I don't see anybody would argue with anything I just said. And it doesn't need to be partisan. But once we can agree on that topic or that goal, then we can start discussing how we get there instead of arguing about where we're going. I find, let me rephrase that. Anyway, back to TDS, but okay, gotta, let me rephrase that. I find dad jokes funny because they aren't meant to be funny. So the anticlimactic gets you. See, now that's funny. Because you know she did a zig when I thought she was gonna zag. Or I'm assuming I don't know if Sugar is a man is a boy's name or a girl's name. So maybe I should anyway. Keep chasing dreams, my dude. Only American citizens vote. Right. So then it's not a problem, right? It's not a problem. If only American citizens, that's part of, like, people would say, you know, MAGAs would say, well, all American citizens are allowed to vote. And then you know, and okay, so then if we agree that, you know, if we already have that system in place, then we don't have to worry, right? The MAGAs try to make it sound like we're trying to advocate for non-citizens to vote. But if we say no, only citizens should vote, then where's the argument? And then they'll say, well, why don't you want, you know, the SAVE Act then? And then we say, because that prevents actual citizens from voting. So how can we assure you that non-citizens aren't voting, and without having actual citizens not be able to vote? I think this is what I mean, where if we can agree on where we're going, then we can start discussing on how we get there. And so that's when so yesterday I was talking about this a little bit, and I was saying, like, there is a real sincere spot that MAGAs are coming from. And when I say MAGAs, I'm not saying that pejoratively. They wear the hats that say "Make America Great Again." It's a self-identified group. That is what they call themselves. And so MAGAs, there is something in there, right? Like they actually have, they're people too. That's why I won't say maggots and stuff, because I think that's dehumanizing. And there's real human perspective to what they think. And when we hear that, instead of judge that, then we can have conversations instead of arguments. At least this is what I was saying yesterday, and that's why we need to hear them. So I made, I was talking about this. I made this clip. I posted it on Facebook, and I got all these responses where people were like, "Oh, you're a libtard. What a libtard thing to say." I'm like, I said we should listen to you, and then your response is calling me a libtard, insulting my intelligence, calling me a pedophile because I said we should listen to you. Like, this is, how can we have a conversation if I try to say I want to have a conversation and then you insult me for saying that I should listen to you? All right. We already have a system that prevents non-citizens from voting. I agree. I am not trying to say that non-citizens vote, and I've been through this so many times. I've gone through the numbers. There are less than 100 non-citizens who have voted over the last 40 years, and of those, I've gone through the Federalist database. Of those 100, I have not found one that would have been prevented by the SAVE Act. So even if you're concerned were non-citizens voting, and the very rare ones that do vote, the non-citizen, the SAVE Act would not have prevented those, because people can get fake birth certificates and forged birth certificates. Tell them to turn off Fox News. Just only let true citizens should act freely, and if you want immigrants to vote, then make tax slab. Only tax-paying immigrants could vote. If you contribute to economy, then only you vote. You notice how, like, when the liberal people disagree with me, they have these like clear, cogent arguments and spell things correctly, and it's easy to understand what they're saying. And then you get this thing. I don't know. Maybe this guy's got English as a second language, because the name doesn't seem to be. But just only let true citizens should act freely. And if you want immigrants to vote, then make a tax slab. Only tax-paying immigrants could vote. If you contribute to economy, then only you vote. I don't know what any of that is supposed to mean. If they don't like America, who says they don't like America? We're not talking. All we're talking. What are you talking about? I'm saying that American citizens should be able to vote. Do you agree with that or not? Who is the they here? Pennsylvania just kicked 100,000 families off of food assistance so that billionaires could get their socialist government handouts. So no family's getting $100, and yes to giving billionaires billions. Brett, I looked at something yesterday. I was just curious. So I went and had a conversation with chat, checked the numbers. And if you take the amount of wealth increase from the top 10 wealthiest Americans last year, 2025. So this doesn't even count the $500 billion that Elon Musk has gone up this year. If you take that wealth increase, not total wealth, but just the increase in wealth, and you were to tax that at the same rate as you tax the income of the median tax earner in the United States that would actually pay for all of the SNAP benefits with $50 billion left over. Like, and then people say things like, oh, well, you can't tax unrealized income. And it's like, why not? I don't like, I think that is it's an assumption in the premise, right? That there's something somehow wrong with that. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think there's any moral certainty here. I think there's a lot more moral certainty, and children should be able to eat than billionaires shouldn't have to like take out loans on their off of their $1 billion of income increase. Do you think they don't like go, oh, I need a I need to buy lunch, I better sell some stock? Like, they don't sell stock every time they need money. It's not like they can't get access to cash unless they sell their stocks. It's such a bad faith argument. Yes, I realize it's unrealized income. I also realize that people have tax liens on their house, and people have to sell their houses to pay their taxes. So if a poor person has to sell their house to pay their taxes, I don't care if a billionaire has to take out a loan to pay his. They do not live off of their income. They live off of their wealth. And this becomes like this untaxed thing that just sits out there all the time. And so you have people like Elon Musk. The average person on the Forbes 400 pays about 3.5% of their income in taxes. When you factor in all the different kinds of taxes, the property taxes, the state taxes, the sales taxes, they barely pay any taxes. And the people that can't afford to pay taxes more than the people who have like no difference in how much money they make. And so now we're taking food away from children so that Elon Musk can just have a different number. It has literally no effect on his life at all. And if you were to have like a 10% tax on wealth increase, it wouldn't matter to Elon Musk at all. It wouldn't change anything at all. And some people will be like, oh, well, it's going to ruin the economy. No, it's not. Because you put that money back in the economy. And when you put the money back into the economy, it actually stimulates the economy. Makes the economy better. You give $1 to a poor person, and it's like add 50% more to the economy than if you give that $1 to a rich person. And this is called a multiplier effect. So anyway, we went off on a tangent there, but the system wasn't designed to work for the average Joe. It is not broken. It's compromised, just like Trump. Right. And that's where I start getting into, okay, so why is it? Why is the system broken? And can we have conversations that actually matter? Like, why is the system broken? One, because the people that make the laws are either rich themselves, and I don't care if you're talking about, Donald Trump or Nancy Pelosi. They're rich. The Congress is richer than the average Americans, right? So they're not writing laws that are going to make their taxes go up. They're going to write laws that make their taxes go down. So then you also have the people, they don't want to lose that power. And so they also have people that pay for their campaigns to keep them in power because they want puppets. And then you have those same people, treating members of the Supreme Court to the high life so that they can continue to protect their campaign funding and all the, deregulation stuff they want to do. You have the Supreme Court protecting corporate interests. You have right now the legislature protecting corporate interests. You have the executive branch just shilling corporate interests and selling policy. And you get and then, the media, you would think the media could do something about it, but they use that same engine to shut down the media and keep the media quiet. If you dare say something against Trump, then you get Carr is going to sit there and decide that you're not allowed to be to have a federal broadcasting license anymore. Or if you say something about Trump, Trump's going to sue you, and then your boss's company isn't going to be able to get the merger. So you end up with this system where the corporations and the government are working hand in hand. And it's all compromised. Just only let true citizens. Yeah, everybody agrees that true citizens should vote. I don't get the saying of MAGA, because when what, and that's a question. That's a good rhetorical question I ask. And by rhetorical, I don't mean like rhetorical. I mean, I ask for rhetoric's sake. Like, when was it great? And it's hard to get an answer on that. Right? Like, it seems like Donald Trump, based on the things he says and the policies he has, thinks that the Industrial Revolution is when America was great. There were a few problems back then. Trump is a peso. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. The United States of Israel first, America last. I find it ironic that if the Dems get the country back, they will be responsible for making America great again. There is a kind of... So I want to talk about this too. And this goes to the whole TDS thing. The TDS thing is just, they shout TDS as just like, they use it like a club to beat away any reality, like you want to talk about January 6th, TDS. You want to talk about, his rape conviction. Well, his adjudicated sexual assault verdict. The fact that he stole documents that were classified and nuclear secrets, and and then it's like TDS, but Joe Biden had the documents in his garage, and but Hillary Clinton's server. Like, they never used, like, they had problems with those things, but now they use those things to vindicate this thing, which was 1,000 times worse. Neither Hillary Clinton nor Joe Biden ever had any nuclear secrets sitting in a bathroom. And it's like, I feel like my whole, like, what I would really love to do is I would love to have conversations, honest conversations that, begin from a place of thought. And it's like, even when I say that's my goal and I'm addressing MAGAs, please, like, tell me what you really think. Like, I want to hear what is in your heart. I want to hear what you really think. I get insulted. I get told I have TDS. And it's like, if you want us to respect you, if you want to, you say we don't respect you, we look down on you. No, you look down on yourselves when you do that. You disrespect yourselves when you do that. When Donald Trump tells you something that is plainly not true, when he says January 6th was peaceful, and you can watch the attack on the Capitol building, the physical assault on police officers, the like beating people with American flags or flag poles. That's not peaceful. Like, you have eyes, you have a brain. Oh, well, they were just letting him come in. No, they weren't. That was 2 hours into it. That was after the windows were broken and they had, bum rush through. That's after Congress was all spirited away by, Secret Service agents, and Mike Pence was safe and secure. That's like saying a country is peaceful after you've already invaded and conquered it. And just because there's no violence right at that moment doesn't mean that there was no violence up to the point that led to that. There were I think it was 149 police officers that had injuries which required emergency room assistance. That's not counting the cuts and bruises and stuff like that. One man lost an eye. It's just to distract from the pedo stuff. Some of it is, but like, I don't like the whole, they are trying to distract from the pedo stuff. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm not going to just say that it's just to distract from the pedo stuff. Everything is to distract from everything. It's a fire hose of insanity so that you can't focus on any one thing. And then if you bring up the pedo stuff, they're, oh, you're just going to go like that. And Russia, AutoPen, TDS, Hunter Biden, Hunter's laptop. They just, I call it MAGA Tourette's. They just shout out these words. And if you're a MAGA, please don't be offended. I am telling you, this is how you act. And so when you say these things in my comment section, you're only validating what I am saying. Prove me wrong on that even. Have an honest discussion with me. Do you think American citizens should be able to vote for president? Yes or no? Like, MAGA Republican strong. What does that mean? You watch Planet of the Apes? Immigrants pay taxes. They do. I'm not sure the relevance, but yes, immigrants pay taxes. They pay lots of taxes. They're actually undocumented immigrants have a positive. They pay more in taxes than they receive in tax benefits. And I'm not just talking about that they pay Social Security tax, which they do, or and they have their EIDs, which even is a specific kind of tax just for undocumented immigrants. And they pay those. So the Social Security office will tell you that they have billions of dollars that were paid into the Social Security system that will never have to be paid because there is no person attached to that account that can receive benefits. So there are definitely a net positive on the economy in that regard, but they're also a net positive on the economy in terms of the labor they do and in their direct value on the economy. Generally speaking, more people is good for an economy. So this is one of those things where I would like to have conversations instead of just arguments and strife. And honesty. Like, how can we have more legal immigrants to do the jobs that need to get done? Like, why can't we have that conversation? Why does it have to come down to open borders or, oh, asylum is bad? and why people wonder why we hate the rich. Is this the vote and support Donald Trump center channel? No, it is definitely not the vote and support Donald Trump channel. You'll never hear me say anything about that. I think that is the first time I've been accused of supporting Donald Trump. What I do is I think that Americans and people in general are people. And I try to respond to them as people. And I am just saying MAGAs are people. Even if they get angry at me and call me a libtard for calling them people that deserve to be listened to, like they did yesterday, I still think they're people that deserve to be listened to. They're just angry people that don't want, I don't know what they want, but apparently they don't want to, maybe they feel placated when I say that, but I'm not trying to placate them. I'm trying to hear them. What are you so upset about? Like, honestly, what are you angry about? Because it seems like so many of the things you're angry about aren't valid, aren't real. And how can we have a conversation where you could understand that non-citizens aren't voting? That's one of the reasons I say if we can get to the starting, if we can agree what the destination is, then we can agree how to get there. If we're already halfway there, we're already halfway there. Elon is an absolute stooge. He is. It's quite the opposite, actually. Dude, you are talking with no purpose. Taxation is theft. Taxation is not theft, and I am talking with a purpose. But taxation is not theft. How? Okay. Let me just lay this out logically for you. Okay. Taxation cannot be theft. It is impossible for it to be theft. Because in order for it to be theft, there would have to be a law against stealing. Right? You can't have theft without stealing. You can't have stealing without a law against it. You can't have a law against it without a government to say that it's illegal. And you can't have a government to say it's illegal without something to fund that government. And the something to fund that government is taxes. Ergo, taxes as theft is a mutually exclusive statement. It debunks itself. You can't have taxation can't be theft because you can't have theft in a government without taxes. He doesn't. So yeah, people responding to the guy that asked if I was a pro-Trump channel. Trump's vanity projects could pay for stamp. They could. My point here wasn't just to say that there's ways to pay for the SNAP benefits. My point here is to say that there is an incredible discrepancy in our priorities, right? Like we will take food from children so that people that make so much money that it doesn't even matter how much money they make will be able to keep more money that they will never spend. All right. We have somebody that is... Oh, did you already block him? What the hell are you talking about, dude? This whole system is rigged and you're talking like you make sense. Well, I don't know what you're talking about, but you're the guy that just said taxes is theft. And so I'm not quite sure you're the one qualified to talk about what makes sense and what doesn't. Wild beard. I'm sure there's a wild bear. That or wild beard is wild beard. That's the taxes is theft guy. I bet wild beard likes to run around, and it seems like everybody that says the taxes is theft also loves to say we're a republic, not a democracy. I bet you Wildbeard has, if he hasn't already said that, then he's gonna rush to point that out. But that's neither here nor there. I don't even know, like, anyway, taxes isn't theft, and there's no point in belaboring that. I'm sure there's a dip poop card somewhere, chat somewhere, you could push that nonsense. Everyone has the right to food, but that doesn't mean the deserved bread goes to undeserved. If everybody deserves food, how do you get people that don't deserve food getting food? Like, who doesn't deserve food? What children don't deserve food? Could you tell me which children deserve to eat and which children don't deserve to eat? I saw someone, can't remember who, that said if billionaires pay livable wages, ease off on the taxes for them, but if they don't pay the tax, if they don't tax the hell out of them. I like that idea. There's something called I think it's called a reverse income tax. And the idea is that everybody is guaranteed a certain standard of living, right? Like $30,000 or whatever. And if as you make more money, like if you make less than $30,000, then you get compensated. Like the government fills up the rest, right? But then as you make more money, you get less money from the government. And then as you make more money, you start paying the government money, so that, you've got like a guaranteed floor for everybody, and the ceiling can go as high as it wants. I like that idea. I like the idea of raising the floor instead of lowering the ceiling. I think sometimes Republicans and conservatives think that taxation means lowering the ceiling. It doesn't. It just means that we provide a minimum means for every person in America to live. And as the wealthiest nation in the history of the world, I think we should be able to feed everybody in America. I don't understand the issues. We quibble over whether or not a kid should be able to drink a Pepsi, but not whether or not a billionaire should have to pay a tax. Why are you rubbing syllables together? I guess if you want to start a word fire. So he doesn't, Beard, the guy that somehow thinks that you can have theft without government, wants to think that I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, so I think we're about to, I think we're up to the ignoring Wildbeard. He's one of those people that like is really condescending, even though he's also extremely ignorant. What if you just said the same energy as fridge protecting the snacks? What you just said has the same energy as fridge protecting the snacks. Congress making laws to protect billionaires. Yeah, I agree. And I think that's like one of those reasons we need to, like, it's all sort of this self-insulated system, right? So people would say, well, then change Congress. And it's like, okay, I would love to change Congress, except that the laws are there to protect the people that are there. How do you get somebody like Mitch McConnell, who we're contacting via Ouija board, apparently, and he's still a senator? He's not, might not even be alive at this point. And like, why does it have to be he gets, vacated? And while I liked Biden, I mean, I think that he was maybe out of step a little bit by the end. I mean, you could tell that in the one debate. I don't think he should have run for a second term. I think that caused a lot of issues. I was concerned about that when he ran in the first term. But this what Donald Trump is like way, he's not anywhere near. Joe Biden can run laps around Donald Trump right now. Donald Trump is out there talking about the Islamic Republic of Japan, calling Zelensky Putin, going on and on and on and on about, like his airplane and about, like he's just, there's pudding in there. He has no brain activity. Why does he need a monthly cognitive report? Why isn't anybody explaining that? What's going on with his hand? The man has more makeup on his hand than my wife has in her makeup cabinet. What's going on with him? So somebody loves Cruz, Holly, and Kennedy. Do you mind saying why? What is it you love about them? Like, can we talk about things that are productive instead of coming in and just deliberately being divisive? Like, what do you want to see, Robert? What would you like to see in America? How would you make America better? And it was back then the Rust Belt. I don't know what that has to do with what you mean by that. No, what's going on? Hey, something in Russian. What's going on? First time caller. Long time, well, first time reader, first time caller, whatever. We're just reading through the comments and having a conversation. So I would really love to have a conversation. So if if you're a MAGA and you have something to say, feel free to say it. Instead of just shouting things like TDS. Trump lost the independents, can't win without them. Trump supporters are the only ones with TDS. So I was, I'm going to just go ahead and do this. I was so frustrated yesterday because I'm like sitting there trying to say, let's listen to MAGAs. Let's be better. Right. And so here, I'm just going to share this because I was trying to say, let's listen to MAGAs. I showed a clip where, and I didn't say anything mean, anything against MAGAs at all. I just pointed out that, that a lot of MAGAs have had their own hardships and they've struggled and they've, tried to come out ahead, and they don't want to be made to feel guilty about that. And, maybe we should at least hear what they have to say. And then I got called libtard and all kinds of stuff. Like the comments were just vicious. So I'm gonna share this. So I wrote this. All right, if I can find it. Okay, here. So this. All right, so today I was debating a MAGA, and I was certain I was going to win. I had factors on my side. I had facts on my side. I had receipts. I had video evidence. And then they reached deep and found the most remarkable comeback I've ever heard. TDS, they said, you have Trump derangement syndrome. Apparently, TDS is this disease where if you disagree, just because Donald Trump bombs boats on the high seas, commits war crimes, starts random wars, bombs schools with little girls, protects rapists and pedophiles, was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, was convicted of 34 felonies, was found liable for a sexual assault, posted racist pictures of the Obamas as apes, tore down half the White House, started a trade war with the entire world, including an island full of penguins, supported genocide, started a war that drove up inflation, cut health care for poor Americans, took the food from the hungry children, both in America and around the world, sold pardons to cartel leaders and people who laundered money for them, and human traffickers, tried to amend the Constitution with an executive order, called soldiers who died in war, suckers and heroes, quoted Hitler on multiple occasions, made a man who cuddles with severed raccoon roadkill penises in charge of our health, said he loves inflations, threatened to invade Greenland multiple times, pissed off Canada. How do you piss off Canada? Literally turned Washington, D.C. into a swamp, made billions of dollars off of being president, ran around naming things after himself, made the 250th anniversary of the country about himself, violated the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 14th, 15th, 19th, 24th, and 26th Amendments, as well as Articles 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the Constitution. In many and varied ways, has had more judicial rulings against him than any president in history, tried to overthrow the country, tried to make it illegal to charge him with a crime while prosecuting people for such infractions as posting pictures of seashells, humiliated us on the world front numerous times, including fantasy AI shots of the Prime Minister of Italy giving him googly eyes, ruined the World Cup by trying to rig it, and spawned the likes of Donald Jr. and Eric. But incredibly, with just 3 letters, all that just magically goes away, poof, like it never happened. Apparently, this is caused by a combination of immersing oneself in something called objective reality and reading things called books. If you do those things, you might want to get yourself checked for this TDS thing. Fortunately, it's very easy to diagnose. All you have to do is open your eyes. If you're not staring at the inside of your own colon, there's a very good chance you have it. The treatment is a steady diet of Fox News. The treatment works even better if you have the volume turned all the way up. If you start realizing that colleges are teaching people to reject Starbucks cups that say Merry Christmas and that you should only accept the Happy Holiday ones, the treatment is working. And if that doesn't work, slamming your head in the door multiple times might beat the sense out of it. If you know someone who is affected by TDS, please share this post. That's what TDS is. TDS is engaging with actual reality. TDS is knowing that the world around you is happening. It is not being, persuaded by the bizarre insanity that is MAGA. So, all right, that's what I mean. How do you know if you have TDS? If you're not staring at your own colon when you open your eyeballs, you have TDS. All right. So when they say a man can have babies, transgender men have babies. Yeah, that you want to use this kind of equivalence fallacy to make it sound like we don't know what we're talking about, when you know exactly what we're talking about, but you won't be honest about it, then no, that's what I'm talking about. That's not TDS. That's just acknowledging trans people are real. It's not a mental disease to acknowledge trans people exist in this world. It's a mental disease to deny they do. Okay, so wow, I'm sorry. Wow, we got a bunch of all right. MAGA doesn't have a platform. Brett has said he's going to be back in 15. All right, so we got a lot of comments. I scrolled up to get to him and think I got so many. I got a lot to go through. All right. Trump is destroying small businesses with his deportation and his tariffs. I think that a lot of people do not understand how much damage he's doing to small businesses. They really don't. Okay, sorry. If they're not supposed to be here. Okay, first of all, it's THEYRE. All right, it's not THERE. But secondly, why don't we change who's supposed to be here? Like, what makes Why can't they be here? Why can't we change? I agree that the laws, the immigration laws say they shouldn't be here. But why is it that the law's not wrong? Like our country did better when that wasn't the case. Our country did better when people could come over here, start at the bottom and work their way up. Why can't we do that anymore? Why did that stop becoming a productive model? How can we have people that want to start at the bottom? They love America so much. They want to come over here and start at the bottom and do jobs that people don't, people didn't go to college so they could go and pluck strawberries. But people came over here and plucked strawberries so their kids could go to college. And they still are willing to do that. So what's wrong with that? Why does the law need to say we can't have poor people come over here and try to make a better life for themselves? I'm not arguing that the law doesn't say that. Right now, the law doesn't allow for that. But why is it the people are wrong and not the law is wrong? Maybe the law is wrong. Their platform is to oppose anyone who questions them on anything. Defending the billionaires is the dumbest thing you could ever argue for. And they will never, ever, ever defend you. You think Elon Musk defends you? Elon Musk took away people's jobs. We have the best Congress money can buy. Yeah, we do. Well, technically, the billionaires do. We don't have the best Congress money can buy. It's been purchased from us, not for us. Trump is a slumlord. I think this is a historical fact. So we need to set an age limit for Congress and the president, a man with dementia who lives inside his own head, is running our country. The world is laughing at us. Yeah. I think we miss Obama for that reason, right? I get it. Obama and Clinton, when they talked, they had something to say. George Bush wasn't demented, but he was not the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree. He what was the quote about? Couldn't even, anyway. I used to say before Bush, I never thought I would be smarter than the president. But before Trump, I never thought Bush could be smarter than the president. Because I don't know what Holly and Kennedy have to do with anything. He's falling apart. Had to see 22 doctors. I wonder how many of them were psychiatrists. Yeah, it's like, what is going on with his hand? What's going on with that bruising? How do you get bruises on the back of your hand by people shaking it? Like the same people that were sitting there acting like Joe Biden's doctors were hiding something from us. Where are they now? Joe Biden didn't have like mysterious bruises. He didn't walk around dragging his left leg. Joe Biden didn't have like a monthly cognitive exam, the kind they give to stroke survivors. Joe Biden wasn't the one talking about the Islamic Republic of Japan. Wasn't sitting there calling Zelensky Putin. Like, I mean, how do you screw that up? Donald Trump's brain is porridge right now. It doesn't even have raisins in it. Holly tells the truth? Why isn't Holly telling the truth? If he tells the truth, why isn't he telling the truth? What truth is he telling? Ted Cruz, all Ted Cruz can do is abandon his own dog when it gets cold outside. Don't tell me about Ted Cruz. I live in Texas. You know how miserable of a human being Ted Cruz is? That when Texas had its cold, the biggest cold snap than like basically anybody's experienced in Texas. And the power went out and it was freezing. Like I was here then, right? And it was like we didn't have power for like a week. And the good thing was we didn't have to worry about our food in our fridge going bad. All we had to do is keep the door open. And so I'd go out in the daytime and I'd read a book in my van with the car running so I wouldn't get cold. My dog would be out there with me. My wife, she just didn't want to go out there, so she'd like hide under like 14 layers of blankets with my other dog there to keep her warm. And yeah, we lived that way for a week. It was miserable. We were so happy when the power finally came back on. We went out, we bought a generator after that and paid, a bunch of money to get our fuse box set up so that it could run off a generator when we need it. Ted Cruz, just to give you a picture of how miserable that time was for us. Texas was not built for the cold the same way the Northeast wasn't built for the heat. So, you got to understand, like, even the architecture and the housing is different when you're building houses to release heat instead of to contain heat. So, like, people are like, oh, how can you do, like, why is it such a big deal? It gets cold outside, so what? And it's like, it's a totally different situation. But it got cold outside. There was no power. Ted Cruz is like, tells his neighbors, hey, look, I want to go to Cancun. It's too cold. It's on me. Let's go to Cancun. Right? Like, now, if I had told my neighbors, let's go to Cancun, I'm paying, they'd have jumped on the plane with me right away, right? Because I get along with my neighbors. And that would have been like, if I'd had the money, we'd have been there. I like my neighbors, right? I would have made sure that I put my dog in the kennel, maybe. Did I have one or two dogs? I think that was just the one dog. Anyway, if I had two dogs, I would have put them both in the kennel. I wouldn't have just left them there. Anyway, like, so he's like doing this thing, and his neighbors are like, they turn him in. They turn him in. He is such a jerk that even if he did something that was ostensibly nice, they turned him in. We found out about that from his neighbors that he offered to take with them. Like, how big of a jerk do you have to be for that to happen? So anyway, yeah, Ted Cruz is so odious, even his own beard hates him. Trump is on hospice care. Trump is like 2 McDonald's away from a Mitch McConnell. Sadly, option B is J.D. Vance. Yeah. One time, J.D. Vance told this joke. No, I'm making that up. That would never happen. Oh, please. They live in a fictitious world. When they say a man can have babies. Yeah, so yeah, back to... What is the point of that? Like, like TDS is one way that they're not even trying to engage in honesty anymore. Another one is trans. Like, everything has to come back down to trans people. Because we acknowledge trans people exist. Like, dude, trans people exist. And they've existed for thousands of years. They're like all of human history. We've had trans people. It's not like a new thing. It's not like Democrats invented trans people. That's all they got. Maybe the real Trump derangement system was the families and friends we alienated along the way. That's funny, Cummy. I like that. That I can see that. Yeah, so somebody says maggots don't have good intent, so it's hard to have an honest convo. I agree that they don't have good intent and that it's hard to have an honest convo, but can we please not use dehumanizing language here? I, say this a lot. I will not dehumanize MAGAs any more than I want them using the word illegals. I won't use the word MAGAs. In the Senate floor are idiots. Did you know I was, like doing some research yesterday. If John, there's some rumors that John Fetterman might switch parties. And so if he were to switch parties, this is really interesting. If he were to switch parties, he would be the first senator in US history to raise the average IQ of both parties at the same time. Let's see what I did there. They don't deserve us to be better. We tell them horrible things that are going on and on. They just choose to believe us while our country falls apart. I agree they don't deserve it, but I deserve it. Like, I'm not treating MAGAs like people for them. I'm treating MAGAs for different, like people for me. Because if I start treating them as less than me, then I make myself less than me. Do you see what I'm saying? I will treat humans as humans, because once I start dehumanizing other people, I become just like they are. I'm not, I'm not trying to patronize you. I'm just saying, for me, this is the way I feel. I'm not like under some illusion that MAGAs are great people that deserve to be heard on their merit. I'm saying that MAGAs deserve to be heard on their humanity. So no more gravy train for the Democrats. I have no idea what that means. I don't think you have any idea what that means. I think you're just, MAGA Tourette's right there. You're just yelling things. And I just wonder, what does that even supposed to mean? What do you want to talk about, Robert? I like the name Robert Plummer, by the way. It's a good name. I like that. I'm a Republican that never voted for a Democrat in my life until Trump came along. I know a few. I think, and you look at people like Steve Schmidt, who's hardly like a liberal's liberal. And I think Brett was a Republican too. And so if Walter's on here today, there's actually a few people that are regular viewers on this channel that are Republicans that left. They're ex-Republicans. Maybe we should call it like Trump flight or something. I plan on voting Democrat down the board. Country over party. What did Obama do? Do you want to know what Obama did? Obama saved the U.S. auto industry. Obama's stimulus package basically saved the entire world from a deep, deep recession. He got the Affordable Care Act passed, which brought 30 million Americans off the uninsured rolls. Obama did a lot. He had, I mean, like, you could just go and Google that and find out instead of just asking rhetorical questions without knowing the answer. But my question for you is, what does that have to do with anything? Like, yes, historians consider Obama one of the 10 greatest presidents of all time. And they consider Donald Trump the worst president of all time. Handwritten notes from Epstein hating Trump. Yes. So what happened is Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were really good friends. And then there was a falling out. And after that, Epstein hated Donald Trump. This is like, your argument is tantamount to, like, after a bitter divorce, saying that a husband and wife were never married because they don't like each other anymore. That Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein didn't like each other after they had their falling out doesn't mean that they weren't close before they had their falling out. This is how logic works, Herbert. Please try applying it. Do you think that married couples that get divorced and have a bitter relationship after that were never in love enough to get married? Do you know what the space-time continuum is? And Biden, when Biden inherited the economy, I think the unemployment rate was like 8%, and he had one of the lowest unemployment rates in American history. Biden actually got the COVID vaccine distributed so that we could recover the economy and come back to work. Then, when worldwide inflation hit, the U.S. actually did better against inflation than any other of the major countries in the world. Biden did a lot. Biden, the one that actually got an infrastructure deal through. And you know what? When he got that infrastructure deal through, a lot of the jobs that were in there went to red states. And people criticized him on the left because it was giving too much to the red states of people that were voting against it. And he's like, those are people too. They deserve jobs too. So you're asking questions you don't know the answer to, and you're not going to listen to the answer to. You're not willing to engage in reality. Robert, can you do that? Can you set aside being partisan long enough to actually have a conversation that's honest? But Obama, I mean, this is what I mean. MAGA Tourette's. They have their little epithets. They just blurt out. But Biden, TDS, Obama, Benghazi, but her emails. And none of that is actually productive in anything at all. And they're not actually even engaged in their little debate. Like if, Robert wasn't going, well, gee, I didn't realize Obama did all that. I should look into it. Maybe I should reevaluate Obama. But, it's not what Fox News said, so it must not be true. It's just liberal media and, that liberal education system. Trump did not do anything with the FBI. He just tells you that because he knows his minions are stupid enough to believe it. Oh, did somebody come up with the whole Trump turned it? No, Trump did not turn him in. You know how I know he didn't turn him in? Because if he had turned him in, Trump would be the one saying he did. Trump sitting there talking about how Epstein stole his 16-year-old girl. MAGA chooses willful ignorance over their country every waking moment. Anti-American fascist sycophants. I have this portamento, whatever that word is. The word where you take two words and you make one word. I call it sycophantasy. Like where they're sycophants and they've generated this sort of fantasy Donald Trump with the AI images where he's like riding a unicorn and conquering Iran while he's like in battle fatigues and he's got like the Sylvester Stallone body. He made more than $2 billion so far from this term alone. Yes. And all he had to do was sell a couple of drug dealers' pardons. You betrayed us all with your vote. You voted against your own rights. He's talking to Robert, not me. I'm a lifelong Republican until I actually listened to a Democrat for once and jumped ship. First Democratic vote was for Hillary in 2016. I'll never forget in the 2016 convention, Bill Clinton talking about how they were running against a caricature of Hillary Clinton, not the real Hillary Clinton. And that's who lost, the caricature, not the actual real person. Republicans never even engaged with the real Hillary Clinton, and they never engaged with the real Kamala Harris. They're like, oh, she cackles. Oh my goodness, a woman laughed. Oh my goodness. Oh, we can't. How can we take a woman who laughs seriously? You know, like what's wrong with Kamala Harris laughing? She has a sense of humor. To you apparently a sense of humor is insulting women and minorities and making racist jokes. Those are funny. When Donald Trump does that, it's funny. Yeah, say his name, Charlie Kirk. What about Charlie Kirk? Why am I supposed to say his name? Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk. He didn't appear. Why am I saying Charlie Kirk? All right. Charlie Kirk was an asshole before he got shot. He didn't stop being an asshole because he got shot. The only difference between Charlie Kirk before he got shot and Charlie Kirk after he got shot is Charlie Kirk was a living asshole before he got shot, and he was a dead asshole after he got shot. I'm not going to reform his assholeness just because he got shot. I didn't celebrate it. I wasn't going, yay, Charlie Kirk got shot. I didn't think it was good that he got shot. I wasn't happy about it. But I'm not going to make him out to be some kind of martyr just because he hated trans people. And because he like edited these videos to where he's making it look like he's, you know, knocking down all these college students with fallacy after fallacy and bad faith argument after bad faith argument where they don't even have a chance to respond. No, Charlie Kirk couldn't win a debate with you watched his debate in Oxford where he gets his ass handed to him. Charlie Kirk. Charlie Cuck is more like it. He wasn't even cooled off yet before his wife was banging J.D. Vance. It's $3 billion now, LOL. Quit spamming, you guys. You're not saying anything. Thank you, Brett. You're back. If you know any facts, the government hates you on both sides. Well, I know a lot of facts, and I don't know that for a fact. I know that the government is not a singular entity. I know there are many, many different people that compose the government, including my dad when he was working. He's now a retired foreign service officer. My dad doesn't hate me. Like this is like you have some people that feel like if they're condescending in their assumptions, then that somehow makes them more informed. Just saying condescending stuff doesn't make you smarter. It just makes you condescending. TDS isn't a thing. It isn't. It's really not. And it's like, oh, the real TDS is just, you know, denying all that's wrong with Trump. No, because TDS isn't a thing either way. What there is some people are unwilling to engage in actual conversation. And so they say TDS. MAGA Tourette's is a real thing. And TDS is a sign of MAGA Tourette's. Yelling TDS. Do you know what is deranged? People want to see Vanilla Ice at a concert in 2026. Only way I want to see Vanilla Ice in a concert in 2026 is if it's outdoors in the summer with no air conditioning. And it's just to see if the ice will melt. Both sides are slaves to corporate America, but the Republicans are way worse until we can get rid of both parties. There was there's one of these Southern comedians that are actually pretty hilarious. And one was talking about like he went walking and he had his socks on, and one he stepped in a puddle, and on the other one he stepped on some broken glass. And so his left sock was all wet from the mud water, and he had to reach down, he had to pull the jagged glass out of his foot, and blood was going everywhere. And he was like, both my socks were wet. And I just thought that's such a great metaphor, right? To this whole both sides are the same thing. Yeah. Both sides might be wet, but that doesn't mean that it's the same issue. If one side is a jagged piece of glass in your foot and it's blood pouring out of your foot that makes your sock wet, that's not the same thing as stepping in a puddle. And I'm not saying the Democrats are perfect, but I'm saying they are definitely, like you, they are definitely not the same as the Republicans. Joe Biden was not selling pardons to convicted drug dealers and human traffickers so they could have billions of dollars in cryptocurrency. Donald Trump is doing that. That's not an opinion. That's not me, twisting facts around. This is a fact. And if you can't engage with that, then you're the one that's having some cognitive issues, not me. Not you, Stacy. Sorry. Sometimes you got, like sometimes the friendly commenters say things that are so good they make me go on this tirade. And so anyway, thank you for choosing the people of our nation that don't look like you over fascism. I want to get into the fascism aspect in a minute. I'm gonna try and get caught up on the comments a little bit. Both Democrats and Republicans are all owned by the same special interest groups. Both sides are guilty of conspiracy to commit. I think that's too broad of a statement. I don't think that's accurate or honest. I think that's just one of those sweeping claims that you can make without any merit. And I think it's an oversimplification. And usually, a lot of times, I'm not saying that it's to justify your own position, whatever that is. Now Robert says, whatever. Yeah. So you got called out, and now you're just like, whatever. Where's your integrity, Robert, as a man? I'm assuming you're a man. Where is your integrity? Where is your actual self-respect here? Kelly, when are you going to move to Maine, run for the U.S. Senate? My father-in-law lives there. MAGA prefers science denial but man, I don't know if I want to live in Maine. There's a lot, like Maine is beautiful, but man, it is cold. I moved to Texas because I had lived in North Dakota, Minnesota, and Chicago for about half my life at least, and I got tired of shoveling walks. MAGA prefers science denial about trans people because it gives them an excuse for hurting and murdering them. It gives them something. It gives them a boogeyman, which ties into the whole fascism thing. The whole hatred of fascism ties into scapegoating, which is one of the main tenets of fascism. Don't thank me. I'm just interested in not allowing anyone to destroy the country we all inherited from the past. Amen. Robert Plummer, I'm trying to look through the trees to see the forest. What net positive is mass deportations? What is better than your feces? This is, I've asked this question so many times. Why? What is the benefit? That's a good question, Melissa. What is the benefit? What is the positive outcome? Robert says there are not right in the head. Why do you say they're not right in the head? You can choose to be here because they don't, because they're not in your head, Robert. You can be here, but you have to do it legally. Right, but what if legally is, what if the part about legally is the wrong part? You understand that what legal means has changed, right? People that came over here in the 1800s are coming over the way that people come over here now. I agree, but maybe we need to change the immigration laws. Maybe the laws themselves are what is at issue. It's so easy for people to say, you have to come over here legally. How do they come over here legally? Do you know what the laws even are? I've never heard a MAGA engage with what the actual immigration laws are. Did you know that only about 5% of the world can actually immigrate here legally? And most of them are in Europe. or in China. If you live in Africa, you have almost no chance. There's almost no way to immigrate here legally. There are entire countries where if you are from that country, there's laws against you being able to immigrate here. So maybe the laws need to be changed. Maybe the laws are wrong. Maybe we need to reevaluate our immigration laws. Because when what is legal hurts America, then maybe what is legal needs to change. Newsflash, we are going after people who are, and we're also going after people who are here legally now, or people who are citizens. Alex Preddy was a citizen, exercising his constitutional rights, and now he's a dead citizen. You remind me of Judas. He was complaining about the oil that was being poured out. Okay. That is just, your metaphor is dumb. Who is Jesus in this scenario? And when he was upset about the oil being poured out, he said, this could have been, better given to the poor. And I can't remember exactly what he said, but Jesus said something like, rather better is he who's, he basically said that something to do with that, this woman has anointed me for what's about to come, right? Like she realized the oil that Mary, the story, for those of you who don't know, Mary Magdalene came and washed Jesus' feet with her hair and then took a flask of oil and poured it on his feet. And then the flask of oil that she had was equivalent to a person's life savings. And she poured it out on his feet. And so he was saying that she has done this for what is to come. Like she realized he was going to be crucified and for their sins. And that's why she was pouring out her love offering to him. Okay, so she realized that he was going to die for her sins, this woman who had been a prostitute and had real sins. And she poured out her life savings on his feet to prepare him for what was to come. So it's actually kind of a beautiful story. And somehow I'm Judas in this scenario? What are you even talking about? What does this have to do with this way that the MAGAs have of distorting the Christian faith is actually heretical. The Bible says that there will be people, Jesus told them, there will be people who will come to me in that day saying, Lord, Lord, didn't we cast out demons and speak in tongues and, do great works in your name? And I will say to them, be gone from me. I never knew you. He was talking about you, Carlos. What you're doing is not spreading the gospel. What you're spreading is hate. It's a process and it takes. You need to be valid and learn American culture, not the other way around. American culture? What is American culture? Are tacos American culture? Is spaghetti American culture? Is apple pie American culture? Is sitcoms American culture? What is American culture? Because all of that came from immigrants. American culture is a culture that is the assimilation of 250 years of immigration. Our music came from, most of our music came from the Africans. Call and response. Look it up. What is call and response? That became the whole engine that was rock and roll, country music, country western, all of that genre of music is evolved from call and response. Jazz is a fusion of European music and African music. Our culture, from our music to our movies were built our movie industry, the entire complex was built up by Eastern European Jews. Broadway was a result of Eastern European Jews, right? Sitcoms like Lucille Ball, and all of that was a natural evolution from vaudeville, which was brought over by the Irish. So when you say learn American culture and not the other way around, no, American culture is a culture of learning from immigrants. That's what American culture is. Read a history book, Max. Obama was not a war criminal. Wow, thank you, Melissa. I appreciate the jewels and the dollars. Thank you. Of the wall diseases. So, oh, by the way, if this is your first time here and you haven't subscribed and you like what I'm saying, give me a like and subscribe. I'm going to skip from trimming out trolls to straight shadow banning. Biden was the president, Robert. Robert, you really need to grow up and be a man. If you want people to respect your opinion, you should respect your opinion. Your brain is porridge. Porridge. Like, if you're going to insult me, at least learn to spell porridge. At least learn to spell your insult, Jim. Unless, wait, Jim Bob Jones. Jim Bob Jones might be a parody account. He might have done that wrong on purpose. I thought Biden was supposed to be the sitting president. How'd that work out? Well, he worked out well. What do you think of the Islamic Republic of Japan, Max? What do you think about the Islamic Republic of Japan? You ever been to the Islamic Republic of Japan, Max? What kind of food do they have there? They have like hummus. What? Like hummus sushi? Hummus sushi. Hard to say that all of a sudden. Anyway, tell me what the Islamic Republic of Japan is like. How many Muslims are in Japan, Max? All lies here. I haven't said anything untrue. Why don't you go to Fox News or Newsmax? MAGA gave us COVID too. It will be gone by April. Oh yeah. 2 weeks it will disappear, or whatever he said. Like, as soon as the election is here, it'll be gone. Sorry for the caps. That this chat is just full of fascist bootlickers. So, well, I keep getting further and further behind. All right. So I'm going to use this to segue into the whole fascism thing, because this is something I wanted to talk about today too. And here the Donald Trump has been running around calling people communists, and I don't know if you've seen this. I wish I had it queued up, and I don't know if I want to show it anyway. There is this ridiculous ad from Marsha Blackburn, where she's like crushing fortune cookies and talking about how under her watch, China was not going to be allowed to buy up all the land in Tennessee, and how she's here to protect us from communist China. So I'm 58. I'll be 59 next month. Most of my entire adult life, I've been watching Republicans sit there and yell about communists every time they start to look like they're going to lose an election. They've been using the communists since McCarthy, right? It's always communism. And they have no idea what communism is. They don't have the slightest clue what communism is. If you were to put communism on one of those cognitive tests that Donald Trump has to take, he would think he wouldn't be able to tell the difference between communism and rhinoceros. He has no clue what communism means. It's just a word he uses as a scare tactic. But at the same time, these people that are trying to make it sound like And when they say communism, they're not talking about, even like some sort of, the kind of socialism the DSA wants to practice. They're trying to make it sound like, like they're Maoists or Stalinists, that they want to just take over everything. They want to take over all the private industry, and they're going to kill people for being Christians. I mean, they're literally saying this kind of nonsense, right? But at the same time, somebody takes a shot at Donald Trump for whatever reason. We still don't know why. And it's because of all the hate talk, all the stuff calling him a fascist, right? So they can call people communists, but we can't call them a fascist. And so I was thinking about this. And the other layer to that is DSA is not communist. Like, especially not like Maoist communists. They're not communists at all. They're socialists. And they're democratic socialists. Democratic socialists means that they want to achieve socialism through democratic means. Like, they want an elected socialist. They think that if you put the socialist platform out there and sell it, then people will vote for it. And only when people are willing to vote for it will there be socialism. And when they're talking about socialism, they're not talking about, just you're not allowed to own a private house anymore. They're talking about the I think their website says the means of energy and transportation. They want the public ownership of the means of energy and transportation. All right. So that can mean a lot of things, but like highways, right? Do you believe that the government should take care of highways and freeways and interstates and all of that? Like, was Eisenhower a socialist? When you talk about single payer system or Medicare for all or whatever, the first person to propose national health care was Teddy Roosevelt. Was Teddy Roosevelt a socialist? I'm just saying, like, they make it sound like all of these things, if you believe in them, then you're somehow a communist. Was Teddy Roosevelt a communist? Was Eisenhower a communist? Like, they can't have honest discussions about these things. And they just want to sit there and make it sound like anybody that's to the left of Donald Trump is a communist, that will like literally put a bullet in your head for not being a Christian. But they also want to act like they're these victims of these smears calling Donald Trump a fascist, or saying that MAGA is a fascist movement. And when you start looking at fascism, there's some of the, like, there's like different variations of people trying to describe what fascism is. Then, it's not like the nice thing about communism is Karl Marx came up with the idea of communism, and he wrote a book about it, and he's got a nice little tight definition. It's an ideology. It's a very specific ideology that the church, or that the state, owns the means of production and distribution. It's very easy to define. Fascism isn't so much defined as it is described. Like, they're not all fascist governments did things exactly the same way. And fascism doesn't mean killing 6 million Jews. Fascism has different tenets, different aspects to it that are common between them. Like, Mussolini didn't kill 6 million Jews. But one of the things that they practice is, one, this idea that something like the country was great, and then it was made lesser by the enemies, by the people that, whatever, for nefarious reasons, made it less than, and now this person, whether it's Mussolini or Donald Trump or Adolf Hitler, they're going to make it better. Like, make America great again is literally straight out of the fascist handbook. Like the slogan, America first. Another aspect of this whole thing is ultranationalism, right? America first. And America first, apparently now it doesn't just mean putting America first. It means, like Americans putting America first. He's out there acting like every country in Europe and every other country in the world has to put America first. What's the difference between that and Liebenwassen? Everybody had to put Germany ahead. Germany's interest should be the predominant interest in the world. Well, now it's America. Why is that okay? Why is that, I'm not saying that Donald Trump is a fascist. I'm saying if you look up what fascism is, it's hard to see where he's not. Right? Fascism marries this, religious extremism to the country, right? To give the leadership of that country some sort of God-ordained validity. So this whole Christian nationalism thing. Fascism projects this kind of father figure. What do you think Führer means? This, oh, we need a hero. We need somebody to come in and save us. So you get Donald Trump. I alone can fix it. Right? You start going down the list. I went through the list yesterday. I couldn't get to sleep because my dad's in the hospital. And he's got double pneumonia, and I was like worried about him. So I was up all night, just kind of, I looked through about there's different people that called it different things or tried to describe it different ways, right? And so there's a list of 14 and there's a list of 6 things, and I won't go through them all. But I found a really difficult time trying to find any aspect of fascism that at least on some level, Donald Trump does not fit very, very well. Fascism likes to take a democratic government and then squeeze the democracy aspects out of it. A fascist government leaves things privately owned, but tries to tell those private industries what they can and can't do. So when you have Donald Trump sitting there using the FCC to manipulate the media, or when he's telling companies that they can't lower their tariffs or can't raise their prices to compensate for the tariffs, when he's telling gas companies to lower their prices because of his war, how is that not fascism? Some people are like, oh, that's communism. No, because he's not saying that they want to assume control, that the state should own those companies. He's saying those companies should do what the state tells them to. That's fascism. It gets hard to distinguish between Donald Trump and fascism. So why can't I say that Donald Trump is a fascist if he is actually a fascist? If he can say that I'm a communist when I'm not actually a communist, and his saying that I'm a communist is one of the fascist aspects of Donald Trump. Remember the poem. First they came for the communists, right? Then they came for the socialists. They didn't come for the Jews until about 3 stanzas down. And then they came for me, right? But it starts, first they came for the communists. These people, they want to act like Hitler was a socialist. No, Hitler took over the Nazi Party, the National Socialist Party, but he came after the socialists and the communists before he even went after the Jews. Read a history book. And all this nonsense about how they were gun grabbers. No, they only grabbed the guns of the Jews. They actually loosened gun legislation. They allowed more people to have guns as long as they were using them to shoot the Jewish people. Learn your history if you're going to teach it, MAGA. Learn what fascism is before you ask me what it is. I've studied it a lot. I think Bush was fascist adjacent. I don't think he was full-fledged fascist. There was some cushion there. Donald Trump is full-fledged fascist. And there was this episode of Friends. I know I'm showing my age because I'm talking about a Friends episode. There was this episode of Friends where Joey wins a sailboat and Rachel is teaching him how to sail, right? And because her dad taught her how to sail when they were growing up. Her dad's rich, and you know all the story if you watch Friends. Anyway, Joey just wants to sit there and drink beer and have fun. And Rachel's like really committed to like getting the mainsail set or whatever. And so she's telling Joey what to do, and Joey's not doing it. He's just drinking his beer and having fun. So she gets mad at him. She's like, you need to do this. Are you here to do this right? Or blah, 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 blah. And she's like yelling at Joey. And Joey's like, I didn't come here to get yelled at. I quit. And Rachel says, you can't quit. You're a green and greens don't quit. And Joey says, I'm a Triviani and Triviani's quit. And then Rachel says, oh my God, I've become my father. I've been trying so hard to not be my mother. I've become my father. And I feel like that is a good metaphor for our country. We have been trying so hard to not become communists. We become fascists. Everything. We just, anything to the left, to the right of anything is less socialist. So we've just become fascist. Go on, look up some of the tenets of fascism. See if you can find one tenet of fascism that doesn't parallel with something Donald Trump is doing. I go ahead. I challenge you. I live in Michigan. We have 13 months of winter every year. And then the other month is also winter. Harris is a drunk and Pelosi. No, they're not. How do you screw that up? Old age in dementia. They used to, when I lived in North Dakota, summer was a holiday. Can you say something of substance instead of being a gossip girl? Right. I mean, it's like you try to say, look, dude, Robert, if you have something of substance, please say it. Every time you say something like Kamala Harris is a drunk, you're telling me you don't have anything of substance to say. So if you don't have anything of substance to say, why should I listen to you? We lost electricity for a few days in Irving, Texas that February. It was awful. It was terrible. Oh my goodness. How far back am I? I'm almost an hour behind. Wow. All right. All right. So I'm sorry. I'm going to skip over some stuff to labor issues are about the number of workers. They're about the amount of productivity per worker and how much of the money they generate goes to losers like our trillionaire Elon. Democracy is fornicated. Yeah, and did you hear Donald Trump is firing there's no more election board. Like the whole thing, he's fired. He didn't just fire there's nobody on it anymore. There's no Federal Elections Commission anymore. It hasn't affected wages in the slightest. Actually, real wages are actually down. One thing that is sort of a pet peeve is like people will talk about real wages adjusted for inflation. Real wages are adjusted for inflation. You don't adjust real wages for inflation. That adjustment has already been made. Real wages is how much wages have gone up minus how much inflation has gone up. But real wages are down. And they're going to continue to go down. And actually, as much as this is kind of a mind blower, mass deportations actually causes real wages to go down because one, causes prices to go up, and two, those businesses that those immigrants were working at go out of business. And so since they're going out of business, that means they're losing jobs. That means there's actually more jobs open, or like more people looking for the same jobs. So it actually drives down wages. So wages go down and then prices go up because of mass deportations. What does it say on the book that the Statue of Liberty holds? And he's responding to somebody that I must have skipped over. Democracy is nothing but a big scam. No, it's not. You just jealous is no, I'm not jealous at all. That's such a weird thing to say. Like, Bob. Can I call you Bob? Or is it is it Bobcat? Bob? I'll just call you Bob. My father-in-law's name is Bob. I'm not jealous of Elon, Bob. I personally don't envy his wealth, and I don't appreciate his, like, I just think he's a dick. I think that the richest man in the world could probably do something other than take money away from children and, like, take things that are keeping 600,000 children in Africa alive. Like, I don't see what makes it. What do I have to be jealous of? Right? There's other rich people I could be jealous of if I coveted wealth, which I don't. No, I'm not jealous of Elon. I just think he's a dick. I just don't admire him. I don't think that being rich makes you a better person. I think being a philanthropist does. I think that Jeff Bezos' wife is impressive. Like, I don't think that rich people should have to become poor. I think rich people should have to pay taxes. I don't think you could have a wealth tax if you didn't have wealthy people. I just think wealthy people should pay taxes. You got a big raise since I started this up. Oh, wow, you didn't. But haven't you heard we have trillionaire now? Wonder where all that illegal immigrant money is going. It's certainly not going to me. Brett tells Bob to get a job. Yeah. I wonder who is it? I wonder who the conservative George Soros is. We need the conservative George. Maybe Elon is the conservative George Soros. Maybe we should just say that everything that any MAGA that says anything anywhere is just being paid by Elon Musk. Elon is like 1,000,000 times more efficient than any other person alive. What do you mean he's more efficient? How is a person efficient? Like, what a weird thing to say. Shilling for Elon, he's not going to give you any money, right? If you lick both testicles and get all the salt off of both of them, you don't get any money for that. Explain how, for instance, Smithfield, Maine couldn't hire enough people locally in Virginia plant to keep up production. They hired buses to bring people in. No pay for the ride and 10 an hour. Well, because people weren't applying for the job, most likely. I don't know about that specific situation. But generally speaking, like the meatpacking plants, is because people don't want those jobs. Like, Americans don't go to college and study for 4 years and get a degree and then, go work in meatpacking plants. That's why we need immigrants that are willing to do that job, that are willing to come in and start at the bottom and work their way up. That's how we got here. Do you think the Industrial Revolution, who did the jobs? Who did those jobs? It was the immigrants. Clearly, Virginia is filled with lazy liberal Gen Zs with pink hair. Not cool maggot chads that get triggered over people not liking Trump and Elon. That's their worldview. I've pondered on this recently, and I've concluded Black history is the true American history. Black culture is the true American culture. It may have been eccentric thinking, but it was my conclusion. I think that a large part of what you're saying is true. I think that it's not all of history, but I don't think it is like we can't look at white history and black history. We have to look at American history, right? There is no American history without understanding how black people were treated in it, what black people achieved through it, what we got from black people. Like, and I mean, there's so much. The people that grew up in the South, the wealthy people that grew up in the South, black people raised their children. They talk about, oh, the Confederate flag. That's about our culture. What do you think your culture is? Do you think your culture is the culture that was brought over by the English? No. Where do you think red beans and rice came from? Came from this, like they would give the cheapest pieces of meat to the slaves, who then would like boil it up with the cheapest things like beans and rice. They made some damn good food from it. And now it's considered like one of the national, or one of the southern foods that is best. Who do you think came up with fried catfish? Wasn't the British. When you talk about the culture that you're celebrating with that Confederate flag, name one aspect of that culture that wasn't influenced by black people. And so when you're using that flag to celebrate the culture, you're celebrating the subjugation of the people who are the authors of the culture you're alleging to celebrate. Do you realize how upside down that is, MAGA? Thank you, Mo. Good comment. American culture basically comes down to Florida man stories. Actual American culture, yeah. Hello, octopus. Also, tariffs on imports that American manufacturers can't compare with because of taxes and compete with. Because of taxes and regulation, yes. Okay, so tariffs on imports that American manufacturers can't compete with because of taxes and regulation. Do you really think that's... Okay, so, Bob, need you to understand something here, all right? We've actually lost manufacturing jobs as a result of Donald Trump's tariffs. All right. So I know this is the talking point that JD Vance tried to, get you guys to jump behind. And apparently you listen to JD Vance and you're trying to run with this little narrative. All right. But the thing is, that is not what was happening. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's that other countries, for various reasons, can produce certain parts cheaper than we can. And so then they would send them here, and then we would assemble some things here. We would manufacture things here, and then we would sell them. But it's not like that they have to be made here in order to be made better here, or for us to make income off of them. It's just a 1900 way of looking at the world. And the year is 2026, not 1900. That's not how tariffs work anymore. There are 420,000 Muslims. Oh, thank you for looking that up, Robert. There are 420,000 Muslims in Japan, 0.3% of the population. So are you telling me it's not an Islamic republic? MAGA grandfather fought for fair pay, the coal mines of the Appalachians. Now their grandkids work Walmart and defend slave wages. What are you going to stand up for, MAGA? You want me to get a job? You're the one spending all day, every day online ranting about Trump. I'm not spending all day, every day. And if I am spending all day, every day, and you're here watching me, I'm a monetized channel. At least I'm making money off of my ranting. Are you making money off of complaining about my ranting? Israel funded genocide. Well, technically, we funded genocide. Israel carried it out. I'm a paid professor. You're the one ranting about MAGA all day. I don't know what you're a paid professor for, but you have done nothing. Like, if you're a paid professor, great. Bring substance. What are you a professor of? What does that have to do with anything? Where do you go? Where do you teach? Why aren't you there right now? Smashing fortune cookies that were made in the yes, that's part of the irony. The whole Marsha Blackburn crushing fortune cookies and talking about how she's going to protect us from China. Part of the irony of that is that fortune cookies were actually invented in California, probably San Francisco, which is also, by the way, where most of our first anti-immigration laws against the Chinese came from. The very first immigration law we had was the Chinese Exclusion Act. Did you know that? Like, we had open borders up until the Chinese Exclusion Act. Anybody that wanted to could just come into America and become, and live here. There was no law against. There wasn't we literally had open borders. You could just ride your horse across the border. The Chinese Exclusion Act was the first immigration law, and it basically said you're not allowed to immigrate here if you're Chinese. That was it. Like, Chinese were just shut out because the Chinese were like starting to take over the laundry industry in San Francisco. So the laundry industry got all upset about it, and we got the Chinese Exclusion Act. Go look at, I mean, for as much as people talk about doing things the right way, do you even know what our immigration laws are or what the history of them is? Oh, the not my communism argument, always popular. I don't know whose communism is whose. I don't know of any communists of any relevance in American politics. You seriously want to go back into the coal mines? Yeah, and that's the thing is, nobody's like sitting there going, oh boy, the way that just filled up my lungs, that dust filled up my lungs. It was, I loved coughing for 45 minutes. Trump and his oligarchs are pretty much communists, consolidating all the wealth and power. The guy who got so obsessed he had to come back with another account to wag his finger. Oh wow, there's some guy that is Robert Leather the same Robert as the other Robert? God bless Robert Plunter. I liked Robert Plunter. I like the name. I don't know if I like Robert. God bless Trump. Loves from Scotland, the home of the brave. Well, you must be like on an island. No pun intended. I don't think that he's all that popular in Scotland. Oh my, European here, 56. I've seen democratic socialism and what it does for people. You mean like give them education and healthcare and all that kind of stuff? I've seen what American capitalism does to people. I know that wealth distribution in the United States is a lot worse than wherever in Europe you are. Do you know what the Gini index is, Robert? Look it up. Look up whatever country you're alleging you're in, and look up. I'm sorry, I don't necessarily buy everything that everybody says on the YouTube comments because people lie. And you may be the first European in the history of the show to come on here and comment how great or how much you hate democratic socialism. But most Europeans that come on the show aren't like sitting there talking about, oh, I hate having healthcare and education and stuff. Not understanding the meaning of words is part of the illiteracy issues here. People often think it means not being able to read, but ignore the ability or lack of understanding of those words. Yes, that and ignorance. Like, I will use ignorance as a sign of not necessarily respect, but and like I'm assuming the best of people when I say they're ignorant, because the alternative is that they're lying. Like, this thing you're saying, you either know it's true, it's not true, or if you know the thing you're saying is not true, and you either know it's not true or you don't know it's not true. If you don't know it's not true and you say it because you heard it on Fox News, then you're just ignorant. But if you know it's not true and you say it, then you're a liar. So you're either ignorant or a liar. And if you're saying something that is just absolutely not true, and I say you're ignorant, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. I'm assuming the best out of you. I am assuming that you're saying this, just repeating something you heard on Fox News, and that you're not a liar, deliberately trying to mislead people. By the way, hi, Revival. I think that's your first comment I've read today, but good to see you. Over here, it's giving hungry Miles $100 of food per month. But Trump has turned into billions per week in his social programs for his billionaires buddies. And it's like we worry about, oh, they might get a free Pepsi. We micromanage, like Pepsi and whether or not like they can eat hot food. Is a rotisserie chicken? Is the $4.99 rotisserie chicken? Do we really want our SNAP benefits going to that? But Elon Musk gets $38 billion. You know how many Pepsis you can get with $38 billion? Nobody gets those jobs. It's just tax cuts. The countries with the most social programs, granted they pay higher taxes, are the happiest fact. I think the country with the highest happiness or whatever is Denmark. Next week, Trump is going to start talking about fluoride in water and purity of fluids. RFK Jr. Does anyone know where his caregiver is? He seems a little agitated. Who's caregiver? Ha ha ha. In fascism, the government is in charge of production also. And what about Franco in Spain? What about him? Government is not in charge of production also. In fascism. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't. The private companies remain private, but the government tells them how to behave. That's the distinction. MAGA all think they got some slick, spicy line to say, and then it just falls fast, and it gets defeated. Yeah, the 14 characteristics by Umberto Eco, that is one of the things that I've looked at. You go through all 14 of them, and every one of them is just like a Donald Trump checklist with all the boxes checked. Just once, I wish they could come in and have a discussion. I do too. I keep trying. My brother, my actual real-life brother, is getting mad at me for trying to do it. He's like, Kelly, when are you going to learn? Trump for 4 more years. Yeah, so this is, again, like part of fascism is this whole notion of, like the father figure, the authoritarianism. The one thing that they like to do is like do away with democracy, like replace the existing democracy with this authoritarian. So, way to prove, like, making pro-fascist arguments to defend that you're not a fascist might not be the best possible argument you're trying to make. And Brett acknowledges that too. See, like that poop up here. Meaningless bot garbage. Why are they like this? And I really like, I mean, some of them I wonder, like, are you a troll or is there a real human being underneath there? And I would love it if one of the real human beings underneath the MAGA Tourette's would actually engage in a real honest conversation. Your claim that "Make America Great Again" is a fascist slogan is absolutely false. No, it's not. It's absolutely okay. The whole aspect of "Make America Great Again" is saying America used to be great, then it stopped being great, and now I am going to make it great again. That is straight out of the fascist playbook. That's like saying my argument that circles are round is bogus. Like, that's what it is. "Make America Great Again" is literally a fascist slogan. I think it was actually what didn't date back to Reagan, which, by the way, Reagan was a bit fascist, but it goes back to the long before that, along with "America First." It's a fascist slogan. Goes back to the 1920s. Most of them aren't even human, but the ones that are very ignorant, and the rest are foreign agitators. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if you're a real human being that really lives in America and really cares about America, and you're a MAGA, go ahead, have a conversation. If I hadn't had an actual debate this whole term, actively going in their spaces, I don't think that dog's getting off the sofa much. Wait. Oh, so you're going into their spaces. I don't think the dog's getting off the sofa much less loading up. I've seen a few get halfway through a debate, and then when they start seeing their own words are BS, they resort to calling names and then quit. I've had occasions on Twitter where I will have people that start off disagreeing with me, but I've been able to have real discussions with them, and then like they once they start questioning anything, they start questioning everything. It's the whole sunk cost fallacy, right? Like, they keep defending him because they've been defending him, and then, like, after you defend him about January 6th, it's like you got to defend him about everything. And but then, like, there was this panel where they did people that had just left MAGA since this last term, and it was like a cult survivors group where they were like, they didn't even know that January 6th had violence. They had never seen the footage of the January 6th violence. Smaller government is what the Republicans are always on about, but that isn't what I'm watching them do. No, they and I've always said, when people say government is too big, I'm like, too big for what? Like, too is a relative term, right? Government should be big enough to do exactly what you think government should do. So what should government do? And Robert's making bad jokes and then laughing at them. Democrats so desperate for a big tent, they have invited socialists and communists. Mike, what are you talking about? Have you been listening to anything at all? Name a communist in the under the Democratic tent. What do you mean by socialism? So it's your intent. Were you here, Mike? We talked about this at length. So it's your assertion that 47 isn't a fascist? What is your baseline knowledge of fascism? All right. You can't even afford a profile pic. Get a job. Is this going somewhere? Well, we're trying to. But you keep sitting there trying to gum things up. Trump ruined America. I used like Robert. Anytime you want to sit there and you want to bring up an actual conversation we can have, other than just MAGA Tourette's, go ahead. We can talk about whatever you want to talk. Any real issue you want to talk about, we can talk about. But it seems like all you do is just yell out stupid things that MAGAs say when they don't know what to say. I used AI to compare what happened to Hungary to the plans in Project 2025, and let's just say there are an awful lot of similarities. I think that Project 2025 was largely based on Hungary. Well, we saw how that went recently. Duck, duck, goose would be a better political ideation than 47. Americans voted for democracy, and as a result, Kamala lost. For decency, and as a result, Kamala lost. Stop whining. America didn't vote for decency. What like this is the kind of nonsense that I'm talking about. That's a nonsensical statement. Like decency, what does that even mean? You know what Americans voted for? The number one reason they voted for Trump is inflation. And because they did that, you know what happened after he won? The number one Google thing was like, who pays for tariffs? All right. So what happened is Donald Trump convinced a bunch of really ignorant, stupid people that if he raised taxes on everybody, he would solve their biggest issue, which was that prices are too high. And he was going to do that by making prices go up. But they didn't understand how tariffs worked. So they voted for the thing that was the opposite of what they wanted. And now they're upset that he did that. That's why his approval ratings now are like down into the low 30s. Even the most loyal MAGAs are starting to desert him. I don't know if you're a different Robert. There was a Robert Plunter that was on here saying the exact same things you were, and now there's a Robert Leather that comes almost immediately as soon as he leaves saying the exact same things. So maybe it's two different Bobs. Maybe Bob's your uncle. I don't know. There's another Bob too. Hang on one second. I need to plug in. My battery's about to die. Get it? Get it? Bob's your uncle? Come on. Even a MAGA's got to like that one. Like I said, my father-in-law, his name is Bob. And so we were at my brother-in-law's wedding, and his brother and his brother's kids, my father-in-law's brother's kids, came and sat breakfast with us. And I told them, Bob's your uncle. And they just looked at me like they didn't know what I was talking about. They had never. Anyway. No, it's you limply disagreeing with zero substance as per usual. And again, I would love to have any topical conversation about anything to do with politics. Just to have a conversation where we can say, this is the goal, and let's see if we can figure out how everybody can get on the same page. We're going to get in the car, we're going to determine where we're going, and then we're going to get the directions there. Let's try that instead of just finger pointing and yelling at each other. I accused the person that said that Kamala Harris was drunk of being a drunk. I didn't say you, Robert. I was literally had a comment highlighted where somebody was saying that Kamala Harris was a drunk. Yeah, the show is not about you, Robert. Obama deported more illegal immigrants than any president, and ever you heard people crying. Do you know what the differences were? I mean, first of all, to that point, he had done more deportations. One, number two, there were actually some people that were upset about it. But three, and this is really, really important, they weren't the same thing. And number four, he wasn't murdering people on the streets to do it. Is it racist if you say all MAGA type alike? I don't believe you, Robert. What fascist? There hasn't been a fascist country in Europe in unless you lived in Hungary, which is what we're trying to be. What fascist country did you live in for a few years? Go on. I like the way you keep talking about Europe, or I lived in these sort of vague things where you can't actually get pinned down. Maybe you're not lying, but you sound exactly like somebody who would say if they were lying. Spain? When was Spain a fascist country? Like 50 years ago? This is a bit of a reach. I didn't say that about VP Harris, and he didn't call the slogan in of itself a Nazi slogan. Its roots and meanings behind it is indeed fascist. When you put together all the elements of fascism that are consistent with the Republican Party and with the MAGA Party, if it were just make America great again, then fine. But when you go through, there's a list of 14 here and a list of 16 there. When you start going through all the different lists of tenets of fascism, and every single one is a Trump checklist, yeah, it's fascism. And no, and like Mussolini's fascism was not exactly the same as Hitler's fascism. The idea of, oh well, this fascist country I lived in 51 years ago, when you seem to be like -10 then. Like you don't look like you know. Of course, I'm just going off your profile picture, but you certainly don't sound like somebody that has 70 years of life experience that would remember what it was like. Franco has been dead for 50 years. Or how about we cut waste and stealing in the government and lower everyone's taxes? How about we stop saying talking points just because Trump said them? How about you tell me where this waste and stealing is? Like, I'm fine. Do you think that I agree that the government should actually take care of fraud? Do you agree that the government should take care of fraud? Or is it only when it's a talking point that you think it should take care about fraud? What about the fraud of selling pardons to drug traffickers? Or pardoning the fraudsters that give you money? Like, what about Rick Scott? What about that fraud? The U.S. Senator from Florida that got rich through Medicare fraud. What about him? You want to talk about fraud, but you want to make it a partisan issue. No, it's not like the Democrats are this pro-fraud party. The Republicans are the ones that are courting fraudsters. If we'd stop making enemies of every country around the planet, we wouldn't need a military and could afford to feed and make everyone well off. Hang on one second. Okay. Just got a message. I had to check a message from my brother. My Dad's in the hospital. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't bad news. There's not. He was just asking if I had news. If we'd stop making enemies of every country around the planet, we wouldn't need a military and could afford to feed and make everyone well off. Shilling for Democrats as a working man ain't gonna get you. What does that mean? Like what is this is what I mean. Like, how come MAGAs can't actually have a position on anything other than insulting Democrats? And then she says it's just facts. What facts? You didn't say any facts. You just made a sweeping generalization that's hollow and meaningless. That's not what a fact is. A fact is something that's actually true regardless of you. Spain beat Belgium. Wow. Well, we were going to lose to Spain even if Donald Trump hadn't. Uh-oh. Hang on 1 second. Hey, Google, what's the temperature inside the house?
Cooling is set to 68 degrees with a current temperature of 71 degrees.
I think my air conditioner might be going on the fritz, which is not something I need.
Okay, syncing devices for Wise Home.
Okay. Some Southerners act like it was the Confederacy for 1,000 years before the Civil War. Spain, yes. And how long ago was 1975, Robert? How long ago was 1975? I know you're an old man, but can you still do the math? You were 4 to 10. You remember what the government was like when you were 4? Well, you might want to let Donald Trump know that. I'm saying that Japan is not an Islamic republic. Donald Trump does not seem to be aware of that. Have you ever read The 14 Characteristics of Fascism? I appreciate a good anecdotal statement as much as the next gal, mind you. All right. Oh man, I hope my air conditioner isn't out. It's like it's trying to kick on, but it's not kicking on, and it's 93 degrees outside. He doesn't know how you experienced the Franco regime as a kid and how it's different from what you experience in the USA today, Robert. I don't think Robert knows. I think Robert is just using a talking point. I don't know anything about France or about Spain. Like I don't know what the politics of Spain were in 1979. I'm not going to pretend I do. But I don't think that the politics in Spain in 1979 embody all the essence of fascism. I think even Franco's version of fascism was sort of unique. I don't. That doesn't mean that because we aren't 1980 Spain that we don't have the tenets of fascism. I think that's a cop out. All right. So, all right. It's been good 2.5 hours now. All right. I need to log off. I've got some family stuff I need to take care of. And oh, thank you, Melissa. Appreciate the donation. So there we go. Wow. It's a couple of days in a row. I got some donations. Thank you guys. All right. I need to get going. I will see you guys on Monday. I hope you have a wonderful, fantastic, beautiful weekend. Even the ones who appreciate fascism, because I appreciate y'all. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye.